This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee, California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prop 39 LLC, BGB Ranch. This is your five-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Oren Heatley and Maitre d' Mike Netter. All of these are
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. Our virtual restaurant, the cuisine's always about California politics, and the main entree being the recall of Gavin Newsom. Got Oren Heatley, our head chef, who cooked up the recall, accompanied by Eric Early, who we now call the sous chef, for lots of reasons you understand later. Before I get to my co-host, I want to tell you this is going to be an action-packed show. We have a lot tonight on the menu. I'm hoping we can even get through it in a couple hours. And if you want to join the conversation, it's 1-800-222-5222. Again, for those of you listening and playing along at home, it's 1-800-222-5222. There really is a lot to cover. You know, right at the beginning of the show, Oren, you know what I'm thinking?
You're thinking what I'm thinking, Mike. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, but we have a guest coming on at 7:10. Eric, what do you say we start with some breaking news with this caller coming in right now?
Go for it, buddy.
May I, Ron? You okay with that?
Absolutely.
Interrupt your flow? Can we please go? There is breaking news on the recall that is going to shock the Democrats, fire up our base.
Drum roll, please.
A drum roll, please, if we had a drum. You're supposed to be the musician in the group. Susan, welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. First up, sit down. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thank you for having me on.
It is such a pleasure. Now, Susan is a great friend at the Recall, and she went out and might want to say, looked into the competition this week, not exactly like to help our virtual restaurant out. Because as you know, a few days ago was the end of what they called the withdrawal period. So, Susan, tell us about what you did before giving us the number.
You got it. So what I did was I took it upon myself to sit there and call every election office, every county election office in the state. And I tabulated all of the people that potentially wanted to rescind their signatures. Now, I originally was expecting large volumes of numbers. But as I started to go, there was like so many low numbers. I could not believe what I was gathering at the time. So,
now, well, explain what you meant. You expected to see 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000 because guys like Don Parada and the Democrats are raising a bunch of money, right? You were expecting to see in the thousands, maybe the tens of thousands. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And it's also because there was at some point pressure being put on people to say, hey, there's a time window to retract your signature off of the recall. And I was expecting people to be like, coming out in droves, getting their signature off of the petition because of threat of maybe, after effect of what would happen. And I could not believe the numbers that I was gathering.
Okay, I want everybody to take a deep breath. Stop doing what you're right now. Remember this moment. This is an unofficial report. Breaking news. Susan, please report the number of signatures from the Board of Registers that you surveyed throughout the state. What number did you come up with?
Well, I'm godsmacked with this number, but it's actually 34, most likely 36. And
I'm sorry, my headset just went out. Did you say 3,600? No, wait, what did you say?
Yeah,
she said 36,000.
Yeah.
Right? 36,000, 360,000? What was it?
Yeah. No, he actually broke double digits. And on day 2, I was like, wow, is he even going to break? He never really broke double digits, but for 2 counties in California.
36. And let's just cover this again, Oren, if you don't mind. So the people of California, and we're going to get to things like recall fever and the excitement in California running up and down there. But let's be really clear for those of us who doubt the purpose. Orrin, how many signatures did we collect?
2,162,000.
Okay, so of the 2,162,000, 36 of them you're saying so far have buyer's remorse.
I have to say, Mike, we have gotten in, and can I ask real quick, just for a production purpose, are you guys hearing me loud and clear?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we are. For better or for worse.
Wayman, am I good? We good to go, folks? Because somebody Sue from Hesperia had chimed in, said that I sound so far away. So anyway.
Well, there's always the bright side, Orrin.
I'm wondering how many counties did Susan do that test?
45 counties. Out of 45 counties, folks,
Are you
36
kidding?
people have weighed in, and there were many counties that there were goose eggs.
Wow.
Nobody,
That's amazing.
and we're not talking conservative counties.
Mm-hmm.
Marin, Susan, help me out here. Marin, Napa, 1, 0. Right? Am I wrong?
Right. So the ones that stood out to me personally was the ones was for sure, like, Napa had 0 coming in. The other one too, Sonoma.
That's his hometown. That's his hometown. That's where the French Laundry is, folks. Come on.
Well, at least Newsom knows he's going to get 36 votes.
He didn't have. Well, and you know what? You know what? I think, and I can say this with no uncertainty, we have gotten in more signatures over the last 30 days than he's gotten taken off the ballot.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So Sonoma had 3 people that took their name off of the petition. So that was kind of interesting. And Santa Clara, the hotbed, Silicon Valley. I thought for sure there'd be lots there. There was only Santa Clara, 1 sole person in Santa Clara County, the hub of Silicon Valley. That was shocking to me.
Are we sure they even signed the petition, Susan? Are we sure about that?
Yeah.
Those are names that were turned in, but how are we really sure that they actually signed the petition?
Well, I think a better way to look at it, Orrin, is if you do like Gavin, and personally, I'm sure Gavin's a nice guy, and you want to buy gifts for Christmas for him as an extended family, the number's 36.
Yeah. Well, and I would like
Kelly
to also,
says nope.
I would also like to kind of shout out a couple of decline to state. So the election officials that refused the numbers. Now, I had to have issues with some of them because they tried to say, oh, no, our deadline's the 22nd. Well, no, the deadline, the 22nd, is when the Secretary of State pulls in all the data and reports it, officially. But I kind of beat them to the chase with my tabulations and my data here. And so the ones that refuse to give me their numbers, and I'm going to repeat for any listeners out there in these areas, you listen up. Alameda County, Los Angeles, San Diego, Santa Barbara, Stanislaus, and San Bernardino refused flat out to give me their number.
Well, and you know what, Susan, I take exception to that because the reason that they're given 10 days to make the report is because of the sheer volume of material that they have to process.
I think it shows some amazing things about the state. And for Gavin out there thinking that there's going to be buyer's remorse, that the people of California don't want change. Well, let's be fair, 36 of them apparently don't. But outside of that, I think the majority of people in California do want change. Susan, thank you very much. I'm going to like to roll to an early break if I can.
Right. Yeah, just I want to say.
Going to go to our guest here in a second, but go ahead.
One last thing, Merced. It was funny. They said they didn't know what the number was, but they already sent that report in. So people in Merced County, your election official, you really need to stay on top of her, and that's it. Thank you very much.
Do you mean with the
And
surplus, they couldn't afford
they
a
have
copy?
no idea what they sent into the Secretary of State, do they?
Exactly. No.
That is a clerk who's afraid for their job.
When do you
You know
expect
what,
the
Susan,
Secretary
God
of
bless
State?
you, and thank you so much for your hard work.
When do you
You got
expect the Secretary of State's report to come through?
It's supposed to be around the 22nd, but they haven't been on time since Orbital flu. So
Oh,
we're
they're gonna be on time now. They are going to be on time now, and I'll tell you why. We're getting word from the street that they are pushing this thing forward, and we're gonna hear from the Secretary of State in the next day or two, which is going to, in their mind, try and push this election up as soon as middle of August.
and we're going to hit that later in the show. We've got Larry O'Connor on hold. We're going to go to a quick break. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC, streaming all over California and around the country. We'll be back in 1 second. Stay hungry.
How could I forget that I had Bandolindo gatherings? Just a prime example of a really big hypocrisy.
Can you hear me, Tim?
Loud and clear. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our little intermission session that Oren and myself will be hosting. So if there's anybody on Zoom that has any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask in the chat.
Is there anybody on Zoom at this point? We
Oh,
have,
we have the wonderful Stella. We have Sue from Hysteria.
very good.
We have Elisa and we have Kelly.
And Sue from Hesperia. Yep. Very good. All right. Thanks, guys. Hey, we're trying this out. It's a new format for us. My house is under construction. I have a formal studio being constructed right now, and I am in what was my office, which is now our dining room, and everything is tossed up and turned around. So trying to weed through all of the wires and technology. And if I tell you what, if I turn the camera around, you would see this tiny little coffee table that I'm sitting in front of and some clamp-on yard lights or drop lights to give me the lighting that I need to prevent the shadowing that my glasses create. So this is all makeshift. It's workarounds, and it's everything we have to keep going on. So watching the feedback.
We're getting a signal from Mr. Netter.
Radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
KABC has news stories written with the
But we still have a few moments to go.
As always.
exclusive podcasts and links.
And I'm not sure if he's listening in to us or if he can even hear what we have to say, but
All right, we're back
Stella,
on the
we're
show,
going to
Oren.
get you some, hey, the
We're back on the
flags
show.
came in today.
And later be Mike Leonard.
Flags came in today.
Well, welcome back to our virtual restaurant where we're not only cooked up a recall, we're cooking up a change, not only for California, but for the entire country. And I'm very delighted to have our next guest, who is a great friend of the recall from Cumulus Radio, I guess, in Washington, D.C. He stayed up late, or he pre-recorded this. Larry O'Connor, welcome to the restaurant.
Tables have turned. I'm a guest on your show, and you could say it. I'm still from KABC. I consider myself part of the family here, even though I've been off the air for a few weeks. But greetings from Washington. It's great to talk with you. And I want to take a quick moment. I want to congratulate Governor Gavin Newsom on his brand new 4.2% pay raise that was just approved for him. Boy, nobody deserves it more than him. And I'm sure that the 8.5% unemployed Californians will join me in congratulating Gavin Newsom. Hell of a job, Gavin. Congratulations on your pay raise.
Unbelievable. I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You know what, John? Hey, John, this is Oren Heatley talking, and
It's
Larry. Sorry, Larry. My bad.
And you've been on Larry's show before, too. So
I have. Dang, my friend. God bless.
Remember, Larry?
Hey, Larry, so Well, I was just trying to jump right into the fact that, one of the reasons that the SEIU Local 1000 membership voted Mr. Larry Richard Brown as their new president was because this governor forecast a shortfall in revenue. And then when he forecast the shortfall in revenue, he asked all of the unions to furlough their membership, take a voluntary furlough, take a 2-day furlough. That money has never been paid back. And, he's trying to make up for lost ground now by giving the firefighters a shot in the arm with, I think it's a $5,000 check each or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what, maybe you know more.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, no, but it's a great example of the arrogance of this man, the arrogance of power, the arrogance of one-party rule, the arrogance of just assuming that he can do whatever he wants, and he's screwing the unions who have had his back this whole time. And he just assumes, it doesn't matter. SEIU, they'll have my back. They'll support me, because he has that arrogant smug attitude about everything that he does here. And now he's scrambling because he realizes he's got a, they're all scrambling. You just talked about the fact that they're now trying to advance the date. Remember a few months ago when we were talking about how they wanted to delay the date and push it back as far as they want? And now the Democrats are changing their own rules. They want to jump it ahead. And I do love one of the reasons, because they're afraid that if the election, the recall election is done in October or November, it'll be right in the middle of fire season. And they know that forest fire season is bad for Gavin Newsom. Well, maybe instead of doctoring the date for the recall election to mitigate the damage of the fires, maybe the Democrats and Gavin Newsom should actually do something about the freaking fires. Maybe that's a better
Well, you know what?
solution.
He
The
did,
priority is
Larry.
making sure Gavin stays.
Yeah, Larry.
He actually did something about the fires, and he literally released all of the CDCR inmate fire crews. And then in order to make up for that loss, in order to make up to fill that void, he pledged that he's going to give, a $2 million bump in income to the Cal Fire, right?
Amazing.
Well, hey, Larry, this is Eric Early. Nice talking to you again.
Hey, Eric. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
So he also did something else, Oren. Last year when the fires were raging, Newsom got on TV. He walked out into a forest somewhere. It might have even been a backdrop. And he blamed the whole thing on climate change.
That's right.
So if his climate change plans take hold in 400 years, perhaps forest fires will stop with his plans. He is
in the midst of forests and homes burning down last year. Let's not forget, his solution was to ban the internal combustion engine 10 years from now. I mean, you can't make it up, Eric. And by the way, I do want to give you a report from Washington, D.C., because, this may nauseate you, but I hear reports out here from CBS News and from CNN when they're talking about the recall effort in California. And this is how they characterize it. They say, well, the recall effort of Gavin Newsom is petering out, and it has lost its momentum from a couple of months ago. Is that what you're getting on the ground in California? Because my friends in California say quite the opposite, that the momentum is growing right now, that's how they're trying to spin it here in D.C.
Well, it's interesting, and we're going to talk about this as Mike Netter again, in case you didn't know. What's interesting is that it's kind of like recall fever. And I realized that, and I've never understood this, that most of the nation politically just doesn't pay attention to California. Wow, whatever happened to the left coast? The reality is there's something like 63 recalls in motion right now. There is, for different officials, Californians are kind of up in arms. Now, the press, with all due deference, of course, to accept the people that are here on the radio, right, seems to be fascinated that if they aren't continuously doing reports on something, it must not be happening.
That's right. That is, and you nailed it. That is the phenomenon. That if they don't care about it, that means voters don't care about it. And the last time we saw something like that transpire was, the last several election cycles, right? They're constantly wrong and tone deaf about what the people are actually feeling here. And listen, I just heard you guys talking about it. I think it's phenomenal. You know, in the 30-day window when people could rethink whether they want to continue with their name on their recall petition. Out of what, over 2 million signatures, how many decided to take their name off?
36 so far. Maybe 38.
I mean, if you done the percentage on that, I mean, how many zeros to the right of the decimal point do you have to add to figure out what percentage that is? I mean, for God's sake, Gavin Newsom is so desperate right now and scrambling to try to keep his PR machine going. It's palpable, and you can smell the fear on that.
And Larry, what you're hearing in D.C., you know, CNN, if they don't report on it, then they don't think it's happening. But, you know, I submit it goes a step further. CNN internally says, we will not report on it any further, or we will limit our reporting on it because we don't want to give this thing legs. And that is the reason why they then don't do the reporting on it. And then because they're not reporting on it, comes the next thing saying the energy for the recall is dissipating. No, there is huge energy, huge groundswell out here, and Newsom is freaking out, and he's acting like, you know, it's just another day in the park.
You know, I want to give Larry a little bit of credit here, too, because you were just a little bit, Larry, don't get cocky. That you were one of the first hosts really on a major station. John and Ken, sorry, I'm not supposed to say that, and yourself actually started talking to us in the recall early. Never mind, just two guys I met on the street. The reality is, as far as the mainstream press is concerned, the recall didn't exist until we got 1 million signatures.
Yep.
So it was kind of funny, right? Because they're like, it's a couple guys in a room, you know, it's 3 guys in a room. Oh, look, they got 20 people. Look, they're up to 36. Oh, look. The reality is, they got an extension. Then, of course, Newsom dines out. But by the time he even dined out, we literally had set historic levels. So kudos to you for recognizing a winner early, Larry.
No, I think the first time we first talked about it on our KBC program, I find that my memory serves, you were just under or just at about 200,000 signatures,
That's about
if I remember right. And it was before the extension, certainly, and certainly before dinner at the French Laundry. Because, and this is the beauty of what you guys have been able to do, and frankly, it goes all the way back to the essence of the American experiment and about representative democracy and about we the people owning this government and recognizing and amplifying whenever we have the opportunity that we the people are in charge here and those elected officials serve at our pleasure. And you harness that energy, you harness that concept and took it literally door to door in the middle of a pandemic, mind you, and you kept the argument going not on personality, not on partisan politics, but on the issues that matter most to Californians. And that is the magic you guys harnessed here, and you continue to ride this momentum because Gavin Newsom continues to forget that. And his party is, and sadly, I'll say it, listen, I'm a Republican. I wear my party politics on my sleeve. But the Republicans in Sacramento have forgotten this, too. That's why this is so important. It doesn't have to do with Newsom or a party. It has to do with reinventing and re-understanding and reimagining California politics to its essence, which is we have an elite ruling class in Sacramento who have lost touch with everyday Californians and what made this state great. And you guys are the beginning of making that turn finally and bringing us back from the brink, because this is our last hope. And thank God you have continued this moment.
That is so well said, Larry.
That's why he's paid to be on radio and we pay to be here.
You know, this is about...
Take that, John and Ken.
Yeah, Orrin and Mike and thousands of volunteers, Dan and Robin, harnessed the frustration of so many Californians, millions of Californians who feel like our government has been just taken away from us. It's not our government anymore. And you have a choice. You either have to sit back and just be lorded over by people who believe they're better than us, that
do what you're told.
Yeah.
That's right.
And, or you can finally say enough is enough. And, you know, I'm honored to be sitting here with these two guys who harnessed the millions of people who said enough is enough.
You know what, Eric, I just want to weigh in that, you know, the people are the unspoken branch of the government. And the people actually have more power than the government itself. We can bring initiatives to the ballot. We can vote in constitutional changes, amendments. We can do everything they're doing down at the Capitol. We just have to do it at this level, at the grassroots level.
That is so well put, Orrin. And, you know, they sit up there just like Newsom's sitting up there now, and they're very arrogant. They're very pompous. They're very smug. And they're saying, you know, let these millions of people just spin their wheels. When the rubber hits the road and time comes to vote, or when these propositions, Orrin, that you're referring to get put on the ballot, we'll get our big, huge, multi-million-dollar donors out there. You know, these Silicon Valley types, these people like the guy who owns Netflix. We'll get millions and millions, and we will just pay for advertising and ground the people back into submission. And you know, we are getting tired of that.
Larry, let me ask you a question here. You know, in spite of the big media, I know on your talk show, which I know tends to be about the same subjects we talk about, are people calling it? I mean, do they realize how much, being more Washington, D.C. based now, how much California politics is already polluting the country if we don't stop it? Are people talking on your show about that or not?
Absolutely. Listen, in Virginia, you know, Virginia is kind of quirky in terms of their gubernatorial election cycle. They're actually having a governor's election right now. There's two states, Virginia and New Jersey, who have gubernatorial races the year after a presidential election. And the Republican, Glenn Youngkin, is running against Terry McAuliffe. And Virginia has gone so far to the left in just the last 2 years that you hear Glenn Youngkin, the Republican, actually saying on the campaign trail, don't let Virginia turn into California. They're trying to turn Virginia into California, and they're pointing to California as a warning sign. They're pointing to California as, don't let this happen, which breaks my heart. You know, growing up in Orange County, California in the 80s, when President Ronald Reagan said this is where good Republicans go to die, right, in beautiful Newport Beach. I mean, California used to be an example of what was possible in America, great ideas and great opportunities. And now California has become a warning beacon for the rest of the nation. Good God, don't let us end up like that. That's why this is so critically important. This recall is the last chance for the people to stand up and say, no, it's done. No more of this. And yes, people, I mean, normal people are looking at California and hoping that you can turn this around. One other thing, by the way, and you guys should take credit for this. I opened up the phone lines last week in, you know, my greater Washington area audience is pretty much Virginia, Maryland, D.C., a little bit of Pennsylvania, a little bit of West Virginia. And I talked about your recall effort, and I posed the question to my listeners: should Virginia and Maryland and these states in this area, should we adopt the same kind of recall protocols that California had? Overwhelming. Every single call said every state should have this opportunity. Every state should be able to do what California does. And I don't know if Californians realize this, how special an opportunity this is for the people to be able to recall their leaders, stand up at any time, gather together and say, no, enough, full stop. We are not going further down this path of destruction. Other people in this country actually envy California for the opportunity to recall their governor. So do not squander this opportunity. Do not waste this precious opportunity that you have.
Well, you know what, Larry, this has been under attack out here in California. Josh Newman, who was recalled himself.
I'm very familiar with Senator Newman, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And he launched a couple of bills, SB 660 and 663, to attack the recall process and then to expose all of the names of the people who sign a recall to the target.
Yeah, mob tactics. Mob tactics.
Absolutely. Mob rules. And you know what? We were able to overcome that, and I went into the Senate and I testified against it. And then I let, I came out and spoke to a local news outlet, and I let them know that if Josh Newman continued to push this any further forward, that I would make it my life's goal to make sure that he's the first senator in United States history to be recalled twice from the same position.
And you know what I want not to be forgotten out there, Larry? I mean, and it's hard to even say this with a straight face. We literally elect in California because of the way the system is and why we need the recall system. And doesn't work for federal officials, by the way. To hear that our former senator, former attorney general, Kamala Harris, went down to Central America and served cookies with her likeness on them. That is literally the kind. Oren, that's not for dessert tonight. I hope any leftover cookies. I mean, you hear this and you're like, you couldn't write a script for a sitcom. And a friend came and said, "Have you seen the cookie?" I said, "No," and shows me a picture of it. I go, "These are the kind of politicians. Please, if you listen to Larry's show, why do we say contribute to the cause? Do you want your kids growing up in a nation where everybody is eating Kamala Harris cookies?" I mean, this is what she brought. Did I miss something?
Man.
Did I miss something out of the story?
My stomach is turning right now.
Guys, why are you good? It's late at night. I've had a glass of wine. There is an obvious Willie Brown joke just waiting to be told. And
Mike did say she went down. I'm glad that he continued and said that she went down to South America. That was good.
Calm down, Lauren.
Finish that, Mike.
Let me quickly change the subject to one other thing that I noticed. Newsom's getting a bunch of headlines right now because he's announced now June 15th is the end of most of the restrictions, right? Yeah. So a couple of things on this. First of all, that California, through the hard work of Californians, through the diligent efforts of Californians, the COVID numbers in California are actually one of the lowest in the nation now, in terms of the viral spread, in terms of infection, in terms of death. I mean, that's because of not because of our leadership, but because of the people of California. But you are way behind. I mean, the rest of the country are weeks ahead of California. He's still delayed it to June 15th. But even beyond that, the more important thing is, yes, he's lifted restrictions, or he announced lifted restrictions on most things until June 15th. He still kept the emergency orders in place.
What the hell is that?
I know.
He is still staying in control, guys. At any moment, unilaterally, Emperor Gavin can snap his fingers and everything goes back. It's so Larry in the woods. Why doesn't he lift the emergency orders? And it's because he's a narcissistic megalomaniac.
From what I understand, emergency orders are put in place as a reaction to something and not a preventative measure. I mean, every day of the week. He says, the future is uncertain. Okay, the future is uncertain. So are we dealing with future, inequities now?
I think it really might be time to litigate that issue again. I know Kevin Kiley had litigated it. He had succeeded at the trial court level, the Court of Appeal, and went the wrong way on it.
American hero, Kevin is.
Yeah, and
Amen.
It is time to consider if this Newsom keeps that emergency those emergency powers, which he's saying he's going to do, in a time when the pandemic is passing, when the numbers are all down, et cetera, when governors all around the country have given back their emergency powers, that would be a very interesting lawsuit.
And Larry, one more thing before we have to, obviously, the drill. I think it's important for everybody around in your area, getting broadcast to a different area, to understand one of the reasons, my humble belief, not so humble belief, as Newsom is doing this, is the award of no bid contracts to his largest donors, the behested payments where his wife's in these charities. And these stories do not get national press. That the biggest state in the union.
How many other states are maintaining a state of emergency?
Well, it's interesting because how many other states does the governor have unlimited purchasing power without any legislative approval for this long? He literally has written billions of dollars of contracts. I mean, tens of 100 billion to his. Well, anyway, Larry, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
But if
you're right.
It's just it's so appalling. It's literally like a movie. My friend, thank you so much for everything you've done for the recall. If I'm ever in Washington, D.C., I probably won't see you, but hey, at least I'll, let's do
No, please do. And God bless you guys. And thank you for keeping this going in. Anytime you want me, I am here for you. I miss the great listenership of KABC. I love this station. I love this movement, and we are going to recall this man. RecallGavin2020.com, my friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming on tonight. Enjoy another glass of wine and the rest of your evening.
God bless.
God
Thank
bless
you, Larry.
All right, my friends, you know where we're going next. We're going to roll out to roll back in. It is Friday nights at the French Only. KABC 790 Recall. Gavin2020.com. Make one. Ring that bell.
Your foie gras donated.
All right, are we here, folks?
Yeah, we're here, and we definitely need to get that bell ringing. Did you bring the dinner bell,
Oops,
Oren?
son of a gun. Hold on.
Oh,
Say that again?
did you bring the dinner bell?
No, I have not rung it because nobody's given me a reason.
Oh,
But your volume is very low.
oh, mine's very low. Let me try some of that. Is that better?
No,
No.
I've got you as loud as I can on my end.
Okay, how about that?
Still quiet. So do we have any questions or comments from the audience?
The only questions or comments was, am I in Culver City? No, I'm not.
Man, I don't know why I can't hear you.
Strange.
Oh, hold on. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
So say that again.
Oh, the only question was is if I was in Culver City, and no, I'm not. And let's see, we've got something else that popped up here. Give me just a moment. So the folks that are listening on Facebook, if you can actually join in as a participant in Zoom, that would be great.
Do they need the link? Does anybody need the link? And maybe we could post the link somewhere. I don't know.
It's posted and pinned to the top of every single group that we have on Facebook.
How many people do we have listening on Facebook right now?
Let me double check really quick.
Hey, nice boom mic.
Thank you. It's not a boom mic though, but thank you. I'm currently seeing 16, but that could be a false number.
Yep, I understand. Next week is going to be interesting because Mike and I are both supposed to be with Eric at an event that starts at 7. So.
Okay, we have traffic and then we're back on.
All right.
So there's one thing that I read earlier today that
Did Sarah call in yesterday or last week, or she was on last week, or no, she was on the town hall. That was Sue Beth just asked, is Sarah going to call in? Sarah can call in. Sue Beth, you can call in. Anybody can call in.
Yeah.
So if she would like to call in, she can. Anybody can.
So I read in the news that Gavin might be getting a pay raise in December.
He's getting a pay raise, and we just covered that on the show. And absolutely, we talked about how the unions are upset with him because they got a pay cut.
Wow.
So, 4-minute segment next, Mike says.
Okay.
Oren. What about what, Mike? What, Mike? Oren. All right, everybody.
No, we're still on commercial, so
Are we
no,
having?
there's been some mixed messages about the state opening back up on June 15th. I don't know if you guys want to cover that during the show. I'm seeing that as being a question here.
Okay, we'll cover it.
Thank you to the person who goes by the letter I.
Medication managed. Wish you could have more Dan Bongino? Oh, yeah, that's true. Stop daydreaming and start listening. Dan Bongino live.
I will be right back in 2 seconds.
All right.
I'm gonna go get a ringer for the bell.
It's Friday night at the French Laundry. On the menu tonight, a better California with executive chef Orrin Heatley and maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. This segment's going to be a snack of about 4 to 5 minutes as we ran over last time. If you missed Larry O'Connor, you really missed something here. Remember, the call-in number. And my question for you tonight out there when you call in, give me one thing or that Gavin Newsom personally, that he's done that has personally affected your life in the last 12 months. One thing that's personally affected your life in the last 12 months. And remember, that number is 1-800-222-5222. That's 1-800-222-5222. And Orrin, guess who we have on the line right now?
Magdalena?
No, one of the heartbeats of the recall I'd like to go to. Line 1,
Sarah.
Christine.
Christine.
Hey,
How
everyone.
you doing?
Hey, Christine.
Hey, just wanted to call in and tell you guys congrats. I'm really excited about the number of the rescinded signatures. Did not expect that. Expected at least several thousand.
It's amazing. And by the way, for those of you out there that may or may not know, Christine was one of the harder ran the mailroom, sorted through. I mean, can you imagine 36 pieces of mail wasn't even like, what, 15 seconds of work, Christine, up there in that operation?
Yeah, we still get more petitions than that.
It's like, it's hard to quantify as much as we've collected, 36.
We're still getting more than that. But anyway, I want to call and say congrats and thanks to everybody and thanks to the counties for doing their due diligence.
Well,
And
you.
also,
Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the $1 billion that Biden is sending back for the high-speed rail.
Yeah, isn't that interesting that this high-speed rail that, and you know one reason this is happening, right, Christine? Because the unions that are getting jobs out of it are pushing this forward.
Right.
And it's ridiculous because, you know, $1 billion, well, I guess a good way to put it in perspective with the theme, putting another billion in the high-speed rail is kind of like rescinding 36 signatures out of 2.1 million.
Exactly. Can I give the listeners an update on those numbers?
Sure. Hit us with it before we have to roll. Talk to me.
So, yeah, we're getting $1 billion back, but we've already spent $100 billion on the project, and it's supposed to be operational in 2021, which is right now. So it took a decade. It's already 200% over budget, and they're just throwing more money at it, and it's just a big boondoggle and another wasted $30 billion Gavin's put at it.
And we
since
got
he's
taken
been in
away,
office.
right?
We need to get from Ladera to Fresno and Bakersfield right now, damn it.
I know, right?
We gotta get there quick.
It's amazing how they throw
And
around
if you've
billions.
driven down the Central Valley, you know it's nowhere near complete. The land is sinking out there. That's a big part of the cost overrun. So all this environmental projects and everything else they work on is a big boondoggle. And
You know, we're living in a
another
state.
thing that we need to say enough to.
We're living in a state that has, and a country in certain parts, including the federal government, there's no fiscal responsibility anymore whatsoever. Billions get thrown around, trillions get thrown around. Nobody seems to care anymore. And you know, can you imagine if we lived in our own households like this? You know, nobody
Right.
could live like this. And regular people are looking at what this government is doing, and money's just thrown around so carelessly and cavalierly. And where the heck is it coming from? We're all
I
living
don't
on a
know, but
big
I don't think most people understand that's our money. You
It's
know,
our money.
that's where we have failed in civics. Come on, people.
It's
You know?
That's our kids' money, and
Yeah, and
Christine,
their
God
kids'
bless
money.
you for bringing that up. And I'll tell you what, this governor is running around and he's touting a surplus.
That's
It's
sickening.
it's a phantom
Yep.
surplus.
Yeah,
We
it's
have
a fraud.
Ed Ring of the California Globe did an article a couple years ago, and as of a couple years ago, we had between $1 and $2 trillion of unfunded bond debt. Now,
Yeah.
we still have $93 billion of unfunded pension liability. The California Teachers Association, CalSTRS, one of the most corrupt, mobbed up unions in our nation, CalSTRS, has about $33 billion in unfunded liabilities. But between CalSTRS and CalPERS, Public Employee Retirement System, we have $93 to $98 billion of unfunded liability. And
Yep. And I know a lot of
this
state
government-
workers that are starting to think about that, and you should if you work for the state or any
And I'll
public
tell you what,
entity.
this governor's running around spending our last dime. We have a credit card debt that we can't pay the interest on. And this governor's running around spending our paycheck as if it's coming in, just money's growing on trees. We are in debt, folks. How the hell this guy says that we have a surplus, I have
And
no
he's
idea.
acting like
We don't.
this is, the state's just in great shape. He is presiding over a failed state, top to bottom failed state, financially bankrupt, jobs gone, crime spiking through the roof, on and on and on. Gavin Newsom is presiding over a failed state largely of his own making, and he gets on TV and he's acting like, the great days are back.
We're going to roll the break here real quick. We've got Susan, Paul, Brian, and Susan, 4 people to talk about how it affects individuals. Friday nights at the French Laundry. Christine, thank you so much for everything you've done and continue to do. We'll be back.
Bye, guys. God bless.
4 people waiting in line.
All right, bye.
It wasn't me. You even had the clam chowder. It wasn't me.
King ABC, dependable traffic right now in Valencia. Accident, 5 freeway southbound at Rye Canyon Road.
All right, so there is a question over in the Q&A for Dr. Melanie. There are events all over the state going on all the time, so it varies from what county you're in. I know there's a big push for the 10th, and there's also other events going on the 10th of July. So that's the best I can answer on that one for right now.
Also in the Cahuenga Pass, 101 southbound at Lankershim, stall left side. And that's dependable traffic.
And I'm not able to hear Mr. Heatley.
All right, the 10th of July, Mike Netter and I are going to be at a fundraiser in Bakersfield for the Recall Gavin 2020 team. And that's going to be hosted from the Bakersfield Women's Federation group. So shout out to them. If anybody would like to come on board, there's plenty of time between now and then. We'll send you the information and get you tickets, get you what you need to join in. It's going to be fun and festive. We're going to have a raffle. We're going to have auction and good food, great company.
And a question that came up on Facebook is how does Gavin still have the ability to have so much control?
Because there is a lot of people out there that are just drinking the punch and they're following along. Folks, we know that human beings are malleable. We are herd animals, and we tend to follow a leader, whether it's a false leader or not. We tend to follow them. So the reason he has so much control is, and anybody.
We're back on, Warren.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant. I got to tell you, listening to that last promo with the baby crying, I couldn't tell if it was a promo for KABC or Gavin Newsom crying about the recall. But more importantly, we want to talk about how the recall has affected you individually. And we've got some people lined up. Let's go to Susan from Santa Clarita. How the shutdown affected you. Susan, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Susan, you're on the air.
Well, She may not be there, Mike.
Doesn't look that way. All right. Let's go to Brian from Pasadena. How the clown affected me financially.
Hey, Brian,
Well-
you're on the air.
Okay, I made the mistake of building a house in the city of LA, or I'm about to, and building a modest home, 1,800 square feet, and I have to pay a linkage fee. And a linkage fee was adopted by this individual when he was the mayor of San Francisco, and he thought that was a way to raise money to build homes for the homeless by making people who are building homes pay a tax. It's called a linkage fee. And it got the name linkage fee because Gavin Newsom and we're all linked together as humans. And he is the father of this linkage fee. And then Garcetti kisses this clown's boots, followed in his footsteps and instituted the linkage fee here in the city of LA. Now,
Wow, I've never even heard of that, Brian.
nobody has heard of it. And it's strange.
Because nobody's building houses in LA right now.
Well, now I
Brian.
can see another reason why.
Yeah.
So
Just
Brian,
another way to tax people.
So Brian, may I ask, what this, and let's face it, it's another tax put on people. We wonder why people aren't building houses.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, Mike, because fees are not taxes. Taxes have to be passed through the legislature. They have to be put to the people in order to be put forth and for us to be taxed. But fees are completely different, and that's where we need tax reform. And every dollar taken out of the public and put towards the government should be labeled as a tax.
That's a really good point. But Brian's on to something kind of very hot there.
Yes, he is.
Because Brian, all these things they're talking about building ADUs in their backyard. In fact, the government almost forcing you to. That's those linkage fees or whatever you want to call them. Brian, can I ask ballpark what that cost you if you're scared to say in the air?
It's $18,000. They taxed it at $10.
How much?
$10, $18,000, and I have to promise. I cannot sell the home. You pay it up front, and if you don't have the money up front, because I don't, you have to sign a covenant. It's recorded with the county. Can't sell the house unless you pay the linkage fee.
Known as a lien.
Right. Well, they won't.
They lien your house.
Right. Yeah. So wait a second here. Let me get this straight, because this is actually the first I'm hearing it. I've heard of this before.
Nobody's heard of this. It's amazing. I tell family, friends, strangers. No one's heard of
the
this.
Government, in effect, thanks to what Gavin started in San Francisco,
right,
is basically holding you hostage to build a house for 18 grand, and you got to move until Gavin gets his money?
Well, I can pay it up front when I pay the building permit, or when the house is finished and I'm ready to sell it because I'm flipping it. You can pay the $18,000 then, and I have to, before I get a permit, if you're not coming up with the money up front, you have to record a covenant, a bond, an agreement, a guarantee that you'll pay the 18 grand when it's sold. So the only way to get out of this is if you wait 3 years to sell the house. You have to live in it for 3 years, then you don't have to pay the money.
What do you think the odds of it?
Required to pay some interest on that.
What do you think the odds are that 18,000 is making its way to helping a homeless person?
Well, here I think
you should check out Huntington Drive lately down there.
Zero.
Here's a very important point I want to make before we have to go, because we're backing up Brian. Brian is in effect trying to do the right thing. You want to build a house to flip it, which would provide a home for someone else because we're short on housing, right?
And jobs.
Yeah, and
jobs. To build it.
So, but to build a house that would take somebody, they have somewhere to live in the chain effect. I won't go into detail. We got 2 minutes left here. They want you to pay $18,000 because you're doing the right thing. Brian, God bless you. Thank you very much. We've got, thank you very much.
Good night.
I'm literally almost without words. This is pretty unusual for me.
Wow, that's a landmark right there.
I want to flip to Susan from Santa Clarita, who's calling back because you guys didn't hear me. And no, we couldn't. Susan, we have a minute and a half left. But tell me, how did Gavin Newsom affect you?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
We can hear
Oh,
you.
yay. He affected me a couple ways, and I'll try to be quick. Number one, I worked the recall starting July 1st. I've never done anything like this in my life, and I was dumbfounded by the fires and the amount of firemen that were signing the recall and what they would tell me while they were at the table and how angry they were because they were not allowed, and the forestry people aren't allowed to handle the forestry correctly. So therefore, over 2 million, as you know, acres burned. And in Santa Clarita, we couldn't breathe. We had our windows closed up and running our air conditioning for a good 2 months. And I now have asthma, which I developed while this was all happening. Never had asthma in my life, and I'm 58. The other thing that I'm really upset at, and there's so many things I could tell you, but personally, my husband and I have owned for 35 years a cleaning company. We have 30 employees, and they are definitely directly affected every week by the gas tax.
Susan,
which
my
is
meeting's
bogus.
coming up on me. You have to get a hold of us at info. Tell us a story. These are the stories that need to be told. Why?
Susan, thank you for joining.
Thank you very, very much. Friday nights at the French Laundry, 1-800-222-5222. Call in and say how Gavin has affected your life. Probably not for the better. 1-800-222-5222.
I have a wedding.
Home of Dan Bongino live. Weekdays 9 to noon. This is amazing. KABC.
Yes, I'm being a mime right now. 'cause
There
we
you
can
go.
hear you.
I have to unmute the phone and then unmute myself. So there you go. I'm getting it. We're getting
right.
it.
Good evening. California is seeing an increase in
So what a good show so far, I think. No?
Yeah, pretty good show. So a question that came up from David here, will the yellow truck be on the road again passing out flyers? I think he's referring to the trailer.
The trailer? Oh my God. Which David is asking that?
It's a David N. I'm not going to give out the last name right now.
That's fine. That's fine. God, I don't even want to break the news to the people out there. That trailer doesn't exist anymore.
outbreaks in India.
Yeah, I was a little
So-
sad when I heard that myself.
That trailer has gone on to other greater things. Actually, Dan, it was on loan to us from the Placer County GOP committee, and we returned it to them. It's been stripped down. Dan Sawney, who's he's one of our executive crew, is working with. He's actually on the Placer County committee, and they stripped the trailer down to its bare bones. They've sandblasted it, and they're rebuilding it from ground up. They're going to modernize it and rewire the whole thing. It actually had a bent axle from running around down there. Somebody who was trucking it around ran it over a rock or something on the highway, but it folded the axle, and the tires were just burning up. So it wasn't roadworthy. It will be again soon. It's going to be out there with a new skin.
Well, that trailer definitely got a lot of miles on it. That's for sure.
Oh, you know what? I thought we should have, saved it and put it in the Smithsonian for its historical significance. Everybody that worked out of that trailer had special love for it.
Yes.
So, including me, I hauled that thing probably a good 10,000 miles up and down the state. So, good times.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
So we got to make some more mentions about getting that dinner bell ring-a-linging.
Yeah, I got it. It's here.
All right. Well, make a mention on the radio.
You got it. I got to look. There's a lot going on. This is a lot more
Yeah.
work than I thought it would be. I
Right?
can't wait to get my studio up, but
Oh, yeah.
looking at our donor feed right now, and there is no reason to ring the bell. So
Oh.
I will mention that on air.
That'd be great.
You got it.
All right. We have a
So
short commercial.
was Susan able to join us tonight, or is she off?
Let's see here. Oh, are you talking about our Susan?
Yes,
The
our
executive?
Susan.
Oh, yeah. She I sent her an invite, but she's not here tonight. So
And
I got
that's
the
fine.
floor covered.
She's busy too. She's got a lot going on, and thank you for joining us. So
Not a problem. I have this going live across the state and the nation.
nice. Very good. It's a nationwide show already, as I like to point out.
The man of many hats sitting right here.
I hope Mike doesn't think that I've been rude trying to chime in tonight, but we're covering,
All right,
covering a
we're
lot
going
of
back on
territory.
it.
This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020, number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prop 39 LLC, BGB Ranch. This is your 5-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Executive Chef Oren Heatley and Mater D. Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, Californians streaming all around the country. Friday nights, the French Laundry. It's hour 2, where the cuisine is always about California politics, and the main entree, the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom. Listen, if you weren't listening the first hour, you've missed some things. I'm going to sum up in a few seconds here. What you missed was this. The withdrawal count is in. It's devastating to Gavin Newsom. Only 36 people happen to withdraw their signatures. For those of you doing math at home, break out an abacus. That's 36 signatures withdrawn out of over 2.1 million collected. You missed Larry O'Connor, a radio show host who used to be on KBC, still streams around the country, talking about the recall and what's happened in Washington. Most importantly, what you missed was what we're asking listeners to call in about. How has Gavin Newsom affected you personally the last year? And we've got callers lined up talking about it. That number is 1-800-222-5222. Remember, our show is available for replay. If you happen to miss the first hour, though, I can't imagine anything you were doing that was more important. Can you, Warren or Eric?
Well, yeah, actually, this is a listener-supported show.
I was waiting for you to go there eventually.
I have yet to find a reason to ring the bell. There has been no donations come in during the show. But, folks, it's not all about donations. This is a people's movement. It's not about the money. We know that Gavin Newsom is going to outmaneuver us. He's going to outfinance us. This is a David and Goliath movement, and we understand that. We are the underdogs. But I'll tell you what, there's no reason the people in California should be the underdog ever again.
So true. And go to recallgavin2020.com and donate to the show.
It's
Please.
very important. Somebody named Philip Chen sent out a survey just to let you know, and I want to get to this because we've got a lot of callers to jam in here. Philip Chen, you hear a lot about polls and surveys, the one that the press, like Larry talked about earlier, like to talk about. This survey that was put out by a state assembly person basically asked, generally speaking, would you say things in California in the right direction or seriously gotten off the wrong track? I don't have time to read all of it. 78.5% of the respondents said on the wrong track. On the wrong track. In general, do you favor or oppose Gavin Newsom's budget plan? It's due June 15th. Oddly enough, when he allegedly opens up the state, 79.3% opposed it. $38 billion surplus. Do you think this means our taxes are too high? 84% answered too high. It's about 3 or 4 more questions. We're going to put our own poll. But you can understand why Californians are frustrated. I'd like to go to Susan from Riverside, how the governor affected me next, if I could, because we got a lot of callers tonight. Susan, how are you doing?
Hi, not too great. I'm on federal disability for a condition in my jaws where I can't wear a mask. And because of Gavin Newsom not making it clear that they're to admit the disabled, I've had the police called on me. I've been threatened with by a security guard who didn't even work for the store, with being tackled and physically removed from the store. I've been grabbed, shoved. I've had so many problems. I've been denied medical care. I have been denied my cell phone service. Like just going there for a problem with my cell phone service, they wouldn't let me in. I mean, it has affected my life so bad, it made me suicidal.
Oh my
And when
God.
I tried to check how many people, I'm not kidding, and when I tried to check how many people committed suicide because of this, because of Gavin, they blocked it. You cannot check.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's no longer available on the website, on the government website, where you can look into how many people died in California. And it's not there. The suicide rate's not there. So I think more people died of suicide than died of the virus.
You know, it's an interesting point because our government, Susan, I'm going to jump in here, just in California, and they've admitted it. They're not being transparent. That's one of our big things against Gavin. He's not accountable. For instance, accountable in your case for, you know.
No, he's
about
God.
people who
He
can't
thinks he's
wear
God.
masks, giving them a system for how they can carry around an exception, and accountable in terms of, or transparent in terms of putting a lot of.
They are
things into
opaque, Mike. Good luck finding the quote unquote science and quote unquote data upon which this entire state has been shut down for months and months longer than states such as Texas and Florida. Good luck ever getting that science and data.
Didn't Gavin say that we can't understand it, so he can't release it?
In Sacramento and his administration.
Ridiculous. Susan, I hope you're doing okay, better now, maybe?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because I'm still being denied medical care. I'm still being denied access to like Costco I bought a phone from Costco. I can't even get it repaired.
Wow.
They won't let me in.
Wow.
It's absolute insanity. And no stores understand the law. They don't understand that they have to let me in. You can't explain it all you want and they still won't let you in. It's ridiculous. I mean, what he did, he could have made that more clear about the disabled, and he didn't. I've written to him several times about it. No answer.
Absolutely. And that's a horrible scenario that you're painting, and I'm sure
It's been horrible. We're moving out of the state, by the way. We're moving to Tennessee. We're getting out of California. We're done.
What I'd like you to do is contact us offline so we can talk about this more. And
I'd love to. I need an attorney. I'd love to. I have so many videotapes of this.
About what you're going through and what other people have experienced, so we can cover this a little bit better. There is a story there, and it needs to be told.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you very much, Susan. Do email us. Orrin, I just received a very scary memo right now. I want to be very clear that one of our good friends said they did donate to the French Laundry about 20, 30 minutes ago. And Orrin, you have to ring the bell. You apparently didn't know. All right. And we're going to get to our next caller. But when one of our patrons calls out, it's my job to tell the kitchen about it. Oh.
There you go.
We have new radio software tonight, and we may not use it next week. No, I'm kidding. All right. So
Was that a little loud?
That's okay. I'll just continue the rest of the show in sign language. Let's go next to Paul from Long Beach, who's been on hold. Paul, line 3. How has the governor affected me? In our case, you. Welcome to the restaurant, Paul. How are you doing?
Thanks. I'm doing all right. How are you all doing?
Paul, we're doing better once we hear more reasons what Gavin has done wrong, because we want to hear the stories from the people. That's what this is about. So talk to us.
All right. Well, I play music, live music with a band, and my band was we were having one of our best years ever until until Mussolini's lockdown. And so the last year has been pretty devastating for us. We haven't had any shows. Some of the venues that we played at are gone for good. Mm-hmm. So it's devastating for us and for the people we know. And
touring musicians were cremated. Just creamed in the last year.
So,
and AB5.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Right. And AB5 affect you too, because it's hard for pubs and bars to hire you, right?
Yeah, and even up, we've had a couple shows since things relaxed a little bit, but 50% capacity. So we're playing, the venue couldn't pay as much as, they couldn't make as much as they normally would, and they couldn't pay us as much as they normally would. So it's a hardship on them.
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting. And what's really interesting is all of these things, right? They can't pay you as much, yet they have to pay more to the government, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Restaurateurs are, everything is being forced upon us, and it causes prices to go up. The inflation rate's now something like 4.6%. And when they do that, everything just ends up costing more. And then reality is, Paul, less people are going to be able to afford to go out to see your band for a paying gig, right?
Yeah.
Because the ticket prices will go up and everything goes up, and there's a point where people just can't do it anymore. What do you play, if I may ask?
I play guitar and bass.
Cool.
Well, also even before the inflationary costs, the cost of compliance with even at reduced capacities increase for the venues as well, for the businesses. So,
thank you,
fantastic.
my friend. Thank you very much. These are the kinds of stories. Thank you, Paul. That we
Hang in there,
want
Paul.
to hear.
Hopefully, your work will start picking up
That's right.
again
And by the way,
when the tyrant starts saying we can open up again.
Absolutely.
And by the way, always, if you're a great band or have a great restaurant, email us at info@recallgavin2020.com, because we like to eat and listen to good music too. So what the heck?
Mike?
Yep.
Do you want to go through the list of donations now, or?
You got about 1 minute left, so why don't
1
you give
minute.
off about 3?
All right, so I'm gonna. Well, and we have Marcel from Aptos, California. Thank you. God bless. Thank you for your very generous donation.
Love
That's
Aptos.
going to help us keep the lights on. And then we have Lori from Fountain Valley. Lori, thank you so much. And Lori, I know for a fact that you've given before, not just financially, but with your blood, sweat, and tears. And then we have, moving forward, I have a couple more. Rhonda from Gulf, California. See, Mike, we already have a statewide show. Rhonda, thank you for your generous donation. And Jeff, also from Gulf, California. We're big up in Gulf now. Thank you for your generous donation. And clicking further, Monica from Solana Beach. I don't know where Solana Beach is.
It's
but
down by San Diego, Warren.
Thank
And
you.
guess what? It's near the water.
Jane from Santa Ana. I know where that is, and God bless you. You're retired. I know we're all on a fixed income. It is very generous of you to help move this thing forward, and thank you for everything that you've done. So yes, folks, we are moving the needle forward, and we're getting the job done.
Amazing. It is amazing. Listen, if you're lined up right now for calling, keep calling in. Remember, tell us how Gavin affected you. Bianca, Magdalena, Shar from Monterey, you're going to be up next after we come back from KABC paying its bills. We pay our bills through your donations to us at recallgavin2020.com. It is Friday nights at the French Laundry, KABC 790. Oh, we're everywhere. Call in 1-800-222-5222.
Indoor eaters, they are more contagious after all. They're mouth breathers. Just tell them it's important to follow all the law.
There we go.
Violation might kill a
Whether you like it or not.
You do that better than Mike does.
Oh, don't tell Mike.
One car center divider, another car.
Yeah, so a wonderful thing that Recall Gavin 2020 has done is it actually triggered a wonderful effect here in California as well as across the nation. There's been a number of recalls going all over the place.
Absolutely.
Even in my hometown, they're trying to recall their mayor.
As a matter of fact, Ellen, who just chimed in and said hi on the chat, they have a recall of their own going on down there, as does Orange County and Shasta County. And there are recalls there. I think there's 68 recalls currently going on throughout our state right now.
Wow.
So that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, definitely. Definitely a wonderful thing.
This is definitely a recall wave. We weren't expecting to generate the, the side wave, but it's moving forward, and everything that everybody's working on, all of these projects, Chesa Bodine, the Gascon, the school board in San Luis Obispo, the board member in, I think it was Fresno, right, Ellen? I don't know, but these are issues that are
you're calling a city council member in Kingsburg.
City council member in Kingsburg.
There's a mayor over in Hollister.
This is a groundswell movement, and we need to keep the ball rolling in the right direction.
Yes.
We suffered through 4 years of our president being under attack and under impeachment that has nothing to do with this recall or anything that we're doing. But you know what?
Executive Chef.
We learned from them.
Welcome
Keep the
back,
ball
everybody,
moving in the right direction.
Friday Nights at the French Laundry. The phone lines are on fire. The state is still pushing strong to get this governor out of office. The press thinks sometimes, we don't pay attention, it's going to go away. Gavin thinks if he accelerates it, he'll win. He will not beat the people of California. I want to give a shout out right now to Diana from the Ventura area, who did some math for us. Diana's been a very good friend of the recall. She's done a lot of work, and she actually did math. I do a little math. Diana did a lot of math. Orrin, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, so, because we got asked the question, what does that compute to? If you weren't listening earlier, too bad for you, but there were 36 signatures withdrawn out of 2.1 million. Now, my odds of winning the lotto are probably better than these odds. It literally comes to 0.00018% or 18 thousandths of 1% of the signatures have been withdrawn. In other words, 18 thousandths of 1%. For those of you who want to check the math, Diana's math at home, thank you for doing that. That's 36 divided into 2,175,000. I'd like to go next to some of these callers, Orrin, who've been on hold here, who've got some great stories. Shar from Monterey says, Gavin cost me friends moving away. Talk to me, because friendship is really what right?
Yes, this sounds kind of a little selfish on my part, but when this whole thing started, a lot of my friends, they just couldn't stand it psychologically. I mean, they were older people too. And my best friend, third generation Californian from San Jose, said, I can't take Gavin Newsom anymore. She got online, bought a house in Boise, Idaho, and is moving in July. Another one of my dear friends, a retired Army colonel nurse, moved to San Antonio with her husband. So it just goes on and on. So that's number one. Number two, that when this first started, my husband and I are free spirits. You can't tie us down. I mean, when it started, we said, he can't keep me at home. We're buying a camper. So we bought a camper and just, blew out of here. But my point is that all the parks were closed. It was so depressing. We're very sports oriented. We play tennis. We could not play tennis. We saw children's parks that were closed. I was a school teacher. I look at these children with masks on. I can't handle it. It is so depressing. It is so draconian. It is so evil to put a mask on a child. Mm-hmm. These children are getting diseases, lung diseases, and it just goes on and on and on. So psychologically, I think it has been so destructive for people living in this state. And I want to make another point. This is not this is a nonpartisan, nonpartisan recall. Yep. Don't mention any party. It's because I have collected hundreds of thousands of signatures in Monterey and Carmel on the wharf, and these are Democrats. These are Hispanic. These are Black.
These are fishermen, they're Democrats, they're nonpartisan, they're independent. So, you know, everybody's really, really fed up and they're psychologically so downtrodden. I cannot tell you. And, you know, just seeing these, and the churches, and church, my church closed. I had to make a cotton picking reservation.
Yeah.
I haven't been back. in
Sure, I'll
10
tell
years.
you. I'll tell you. This is Eric Early speaking. First of all, I love the way you say your husband and you are free spirits. Thank God for that. And you know, and there's so many free spirits. It's free spirits that really have created California. Came for the California dream from all over the country, all over the world. And that has been one of the worst things about the way this empty suit in Sacramento's handled this thing. He's so arrogant. He has broken the spirit of so many people. And it is a devastating thing in America where a government breaks the spirit of people, because in America, we build the spirit. It's with freedom and liberty. But here, they have taken our freedom and liberty, and we as Americans are just not used to that. And it is a spirit crusher for so many. So thank God you and your husband are still free spirits. And I know
we
that
work
this
every
movement
day.
is fighting for all the great free spirits and freedom lovers in
Yeah,
this country and in this state.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for calling in, and you make some incredible points. I also want to add that people moving away from their friends, people going also to areas, you know, I've lived in different weather or been around the country a lot. They don't realize that, you know, you move away from your friends, you go where there's hard winters, hard summers, and nothing against the rest of the country, but that's why people move to California. Makes people more isolated, and it leads to really bad things. And they're not moving, only moving. Thanks, Gavin. I'd like to roll next.
Shar, don't move. We're going to bring back this
Yeah,
state.
we're going to bring back the state, Shar, so stay put. Hang around the park.
Absolutely.
I want to go next to, before I go to Bianca and Magdalena, I want to read what Maureen has on line one. It says, Gavin cost me a funeral for my husband. Okay? I want to hear, Maureen, how's it going tonight?
Well, today is the 10th month anniversary of my husband's death. It's 10 months today.
I am sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he was, thank you for taking my call, by the way, because I know so many people went through things like this, but my husband was diagnosed with cancer.
You are not alone.
In June 2019. And he quickly went from being fine within a few weeks. He's got stage 4 lung cancer and pancreatic cancer. And so he became quite ill quickly. And so he couldn't go out. So we were quarantining before quarantine even hit. So he passed away in August of 2020. And I wasn't able to have a funeral for him. Our friends that were here and all his family from Louisiana, nobody would let us have a place to do a funeral. Churches are closed. And, you know, that it was nothing. I could not have a funeral for the love of my life, you know? And it's just, I know so many people were not able to be with their loved ones when they died because they wouldn't let them in the hospital. Amazingly, my husband, when we had to rush him to the hospital, we went to a different hospital because mine was full. And I don't know what happened there, but they let me in the hospital with my husband.
That's amazing.
And so it was amazing.
Thank God
And
for
they
that.
let
Because I know somebody that brought their husband to the hospital under similar circumstances, were not allowed in the hospital, and never saw her husband ever again.
It's horrible.
And I'll tell you what, you know, my aunt died around the same time your husband did.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
She died alone.
Yeah.
Yes, it's horrible.
I mean, that story is repeated over and over and over again. Not to minimize what you're saying, and you need to memorialize your husband at the right time. And you know, it's incredible that you know, these closures we could have done this in a safe, effective manner.
Absolutely.
We could have done it in a humanitarian
Mhm.
Yes.
and
Yes.
still allow dignity in our society.
Yes.
And that's something that has been erased over the last year.
Yes.
It is
It has
absolutely
been.
ridiculous, Maureen,
Hmm.
that, we allow people, it's okay to allow people into Target so we can hold a funeral for somebody.
And I would
Or
agree with
even
what
let
Maureen
somebody
has
be
to
at their
say.
bedside.
Right. Or
Even let
Yeah.
It's just, it's,
be at the bedside. You know.
and I think this shows something between yourself and the last caller too, and a lot of politics, again, and Orrin and I aren't politicians. Eric's not really a politician.
Hmm.
I mean, we don't have big political background. And there's always this talk about, there's a human compassion side of this
Hmm.
that is
Mhm.
briefly covered sometimes. But
Mhm.
the reality is everyday people have had, weddings,
Mhm.
funerals, being by people, I was in the hospital. I couldn't have anybody
Mhm.
visit me for like a month, a year ago.
Mhm.
Literally, I dealt with it
Yeah.
okay. But literally, my family could not visit me in the hospital. I was there for a month.
It was so it was so incredible that, and seriously, I believe it was a God thing that when we got to the hospital, I think the doctor didn't expect my husband was going to make it through the night, and he lived for another day and a half. He's Southern, he has guts. He hung in there for another day and a half, but I got to be. They let two other people be in there with me too, and I'm thinking, if it's so horrible, so frightening, and we're just going to drop dead from anybody walking by us, then why did they let me be in there with him? Obviously.
And you were allowed in. That is the exception to the story. There are so many people out there who were not allowed in, who had to sit back and just receive the news.
I have a friend who watched her father die via Zoom.
Doctor is a godsend.
Yes.
And somebody who has the wherewithal, the common sense to say, okay, they're not going to hurt this man. He's lying. Let him in. Let them have a moment, and let's move forward. And God bless.
Yes.
And thank the Lord for that doctor and the moment that you got to share with your husband in his final hours.
And and when my husband actually died,
went the way
the nurse just wrapped her arms
around the man who allowed it to happen.
Yes,
God bless
definitely.
you. Thank you so much for calling
Thank
and sharing
you.
your stories. It really
Thank
means
you.
a lot. Reminds us again of why Orrin, myself, all these volunteers, we come down to the station. Eric comes around with us, everybody here, because it's about the people. Remember that, everybody. It's about the people. And
These are human stories.
These are human
stories.
That things that have affected. I see David type in on our Facebook feed right now. His wife had knee surgery. She was alone. Let's face it, Gavin. Do you really care?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
This is what
And
happens when you start with arrogance at the top. It just carries on down through the
Absolutely.
system.
And this California is why we need to make sure he's recalled. It's time, my friends, that we, the people, took our state back just as we're doing now. Friday nights at the French Laundry, 1-800-222-5222. After those calls, I want you to really think about that. We'll be back to more callers in a second.
Indoor eaters, they are more contagious after all. They're mouth breathers. Just tell them it's important to follow all the law.
Wow. That story was very touching. And I've heard that story plenty of times. And yeah, it's very devastating that no funerals were allowed or anything to that effect.
No, we still haven't had a funeral for my aunt. And, I know a lot of people out there. I talked to one lady, I call her a young lady. She was an octogenarian, 80 plus years old. And, she's talking about, before the shutdown, she and her husband owned 5 restaurants in Southern California. She's from Orange County. And they had a $25 million net worth. And then that was quickly dwindled away. They paid all of their employees. They kept everything going as long as they could. They ended up, they're going to lose their house. They've lost everything down to the last dollar. And the husband ended up killing himself in order to provide the $500,000 in life insurance so she could survive her days out in relative, not luxury, but in relative care, just the bare minimums. So, I mean, these stories are, they just go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And when you have access to what's really happening out in society, you can't turn a blind eye to this. This just shows how disconnected this governor is and how separated he is from the devastation that has been unleashed on our state.
Yeah. And yes, you're absolutely right, Orrin. These are stories from the people. It's the people speaking.
Yeah.
And this is one of the reasons why the recall is going on. It's the voice of the people.
Absolutely. It's hard not to get choked up and get involved in these stories, but there's so many of them. Our own volunteer group within our tight circle of the upper volunteers, they've all lost family members. They've all lost people, and we've all suffered with this.
Yeah.
So, but any questions from out there? I see a question coming in. What was that? I didn't.
So how do we get more of the flyers so we can get those passed out? So I will go ahead and put that into the chat in just a moment.
We have 100,000 door hangers that we just ordered. The trifold flyers are being distributed throughout the state right now, and we're going to order another batch. We ordered 50,000 to begin with. We're going to order another 150,000 to start with. But again, everything costs money. The trifold flyers cost us about $8,000, and we're ordering another batch, but we have to get donations in order to get those flyers printed, because I'm not going to ask somebody to print something for us and send it to us without having the money to actually pay them for the service that they rendered. So that's where we are right now. We have $100,000 in the account, $120,000 roughly. That's it. That's all. Gavin Newsom has $10 million to his credit, maybe more now. So this is absolutely a David and Goliath fight, a fight between good and evil.
The French Laundry. On the menu tonight, a better California with executive chef Orrin Heatley and maitre d' Mike Netter.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. To me, and I hope for you out there, this has been a fascinating, heartwarming, informative show, and I'm going to keep it rolling here. We asked callers tonight they're lighting up the lines to tell us, how did Gavin really affect you? And I want to go next to Richard from Corona. You've been on hold for a little bit, wasting money on a bullet train.
Yes, sir. First of all, kudos to you guys listening to your show. The compassion you showed for the lady last time was amazing.
Thank you.
I totally respect that, and thank you for all you are doing. I would like to let everyone know this is not just affecting me, this is affecting everyone in the state of California. I'm not a big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but the thing is, when he was governor, he actually turned over to the Army Corps of Engineers through our taxpayer dollars to find more reservoirs in the state that constantly goes through droughts. That Army Corps of Engineers did their studies, and then by the time their study was done, Jerry Brown was in office. They turned that over to Jerry Brown. They found 5 new reservoir areas that could have been completed in the Sierra Nevada mountains that could have given us extra water capture to help us through drought times. And as we all know, Lake Mead, Lake Oroville, Lake Shasta Lake are all down to low levels this year. The thing is, when Gavin Newsom came into office, he could have shut that bullet train down that has been sucking us dry. When that bullet train was voted on, it was voted on for $31 billion, which was insane in the first place. And that bullet train will never be a bullet train. It was supposed to go from San Francisco to LA. It is not going from San Francisco to LA. Now it's going from nowhere to nowhere, and it will never be a bullet train. Why didn't he stop that? All of us are working our tails off, and our taxes are going to friends of Gavin, filling their pockets with our taxpayer dollars.
Do you realize how many reservoirs, how many hydroelectric reservoirs would have been able to be built with just the $31 billion that has been lost and given away in the unemployment scandal?
Well, and I think I want to jump in here for a second, because I think this gets lost a lot as we throw out billions and trillions. And Oren and Eric, you've heard me quote this quite often. And Richard, you bring up a better point than maybe you even realize. I always say that the definition of economics is satisfying unlimited wants and needs with limited resources. And this is really the problem that Gavin and Jerry Brown have, and Gavin even more so. Hey, if I have to pick between a bullet train and water, shouldn't water come first? But no, we're going to do all this stuff and then not satisfy with the resources we have.
But it's so important that I make an executive order so male inmates can be housed with female inmates if they identify cross-gender.
Oh,
These are the important topics with this governor, folks. We are going to be starving for water. We are going to be hungry for things in our state. But this governor is so focused on releasing inmates on a wholesale fashion and allowing the cross-population of male and female inmates in our state prison system, while he's releasing prisoners on a wholesale fashion to join the rest of the homeless that's already overpopulating our sidewalks, streets, our parks, our beaches.
Yeah, and as Richard said so well, he is working his butt off. We are all working our butts off. We are getting taxed more than anybody in the country. So much is being taken out of every one of our paychecks every week or 2 weeks, whenever we get paid. And then the money goes up, and the decisions by these people in Sacramento how to spend this money is flat out sickening. They have no sense of whose money they're spending, or how to limit the spending, or how to budget the spending, or how to prioritize the spending. And then all we hear about is why we should be paying more and more out of our pockets. And when they can't call it a tax, as Oren said earlier, they call it a fee. That linkage fee, for example, that one of the earlier callers talked about, is a prime example of it.
Richard, let me ask you a question. Richard?
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think Gavin Newsom, outside of a couple demos maybe, will ever ride the bullet train? I mean, seriously, Gavin seems to be good at doing a lot of things that aren't the experience of the common man, because it's in his head. Am I making sense, my friend?
Total sense, because first of all, Gavin Newsom is a narcissistic sociopath.
Yes.
The sad thing about a lot of our politicians most of our politicians are sociopaths, because they don't see the wrong they're doing. And another thing, it's sad. They're destroying our children. They're destroying our workplaces. They're destroying everything about the freedom that we're supposed to have in this country, the United States of America. And now we have Kamala Harris, who is the title writer of Prop 47 here in the state of California.
Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act led to the largest explosion in crime that we've had in years. These safe neighborhoods and schools.
And the root of all the homeless.
Yes.
Yes, sir. And the sad thing is, I'm watching all this happen, and nobody is seeing what they're doing to this country, to our children, everything. It's simplicity. It's like, why are we spending money on a bullet train when we could be building reservoirs in California?
You know, Richard, you see things so clearly, and I would submit, this is Eric speaking, that tens of millions of great Americans do see what's going on here in this country right now and in this state as well on all those subjects you're talking about. And yet the power has been taken from us. The messaging that is being shown to us is coming through this pipeline of the mainstream media. And yet so many of us know exactly what's going on. And the frustration is we know what's going on. We know they're taking our freedom and liberty, and we've got to stop it.
Absolutely.
And Richard, Mike, I don't know, do we have the ability to get Richard's number offline? Because I personally would like to have another conversation with him in the future. Otherwise, I'll give him my number.
We got you covered. We got you.
You got it? All right. Hey, Richard.
We want to talk to you again. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I want to roll before we roll the break here. We're backing up with calls. We're running out of show. Magdalena, thank you so much for being who you are, our recall groupie. Woohoo! How you doing?
Hey, hi, Mike. I'm going to keep it short tonight. How are you, babe? How's everybody doing tonight?
Before I even allow you to keep it short, I want to tell you this. If you're missing part of our show, and I hear people going, Friday night's not a good night, I got things to do, I got laundry. Let me tell you something. Every week,
I got laundry. Everybody's got laundry on Friday night.
That's why I threw in. You cock that quickly.
Hey, Gavin's got money laundry on
He's
Friday.
Got dirty laundry, but we'll put that down for a second before we run out of time. Magdalena puts every show, every podcast that we do on Wednesday night up. And Magdalena, tell them where you put it up, and then give us your short blast before we roll.
Magdalena Recall Radio. You can Google it. And you guys, anybody's asking, you guys can give the information now. You have all my stuff. So basically, you know, it's not only Gavin, London Breed, you know, all these people out here think they're just queens and kings. You know, I'm on Muni a lot. And I'm telling you, if I don't wear my covering right, I get blasted by either a Muni driver or a passenger. I mean, so many times I've had to call SFMTA and tell them what I need to do. So I'm in the middle of a public space right now. So I just want to say, well, I'm just really glad I got a chance to share that. And I'm grateful to all of you for doing this. And Magdalena Recall Radio is going strong. Thanks to Tim. Thanks to all of you. And I love you all. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet like me tonight.
God bless it. We love you, baby. All right. We're going to go ahead and roll out. We have one segment left. We have two callers, Bianca and Frank. You're up next. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Stand back, sit down, plug your ears. Ready? It's Friday nights at the French Laundry. KABC all over California. Take your state back. Give us some money. Recall Gavin2020.com.
You don't understand. We're not like other creatures. Rules do not apply to us. We are the leaders.
All right, we're in our last little intermission for now.
Oh my goodness. It is intermission.
Oh yeah.
And Mike is just getting fired up.
He's just getting warmed up. What, do we need to go another hour?
He is, you know what? We could go another hour. We could do this for 3 hours and we would never be done.
Right.
Hey, Bailey, you want to say hi? Come on, get up.
Hey.
Come on, Bailey. Come on.
There you
Bailey.
go.
There you go. Say hi to the crowd.
Bailey.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wave at the screen because Mike will say goodbye too.
Yeah. Bailey's a dirty mutt because he crawled under a car and he got grease all down his back.
Oh, goodness.
So, and he got in a fight with the neighbor's dog the other day.
What?
So, yeah. Oh, come on around.
Did that dog's owner not sign the petition?
You know what? I bet they did. But anyway, I was walking him about 10:30 at night, thought nobody else was out there. And then Bailey went out in all protection mode.
Whoa. Yep.
And Bailey has protection mode, and there's nothing stopping him.
Yep.
So
Bailey,
anyway.
the official recall mascot of
What?
Recall Gavin 2020.
What? There you go.
Aha.
That's right.
And a wonderful dog Bailey is. I've met Bailey a few times, and just a kind-hearted dog.
He's a good dog, and he is the reason I can walk tall among crowds and not feel any pressure from the crowd.
Yeah.
Are we going back on? No?
Yeah, we got a minute. Maybe.
A minute. All
Maybe.
right, good enough.
Nope, we're back on. We're back on.
What
We're
a,
back on.
What a
With Ed Jet
heart-wrenching story.
Minor D, Mike Netter.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. It's our final segment tonight. And to make it not our final segment of all time, remember, you have to donate because we are listener funded. The voice of the people, recallgavin2020.com. Last two people we're serving tonight, Frank from North Hollywood. You want to talk about one of my favorites. Before I even let you on the air, okay, I'm going to say how ludicrous is that when his Gavin says we can't go anywhere, gas is $1.99 a gallon. As soon as you let this out, it goes up to like $5. Gavin and the gas tax.
Yeah, that's basically what first off, I want to say I sympathize with the woman who called earlier. She lost her husband 10 months ago. I lost my wife at the same time, or 44. But she didn't die from COVID or anything else, and she died in my home. I told Kaiser, send her home, not staying in a hospital, and 3 weeks later, she passed away. But let's talk about
and God bless you for that, my friend, because that is the most humanitarian thing that one person can do for another. And to see them to the other side, I've been there with family members, and there's nothing more that you could have done but to bring them home where they're comfortable around loved ones and family, and make them at home.
Yeah, it was a little difficult, but just having her at home, just watching her. I mean, it's tough talking about.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I know.
I miss her every day. We were married for years. I'm a Vietnam vet. I spent 2 tours in Vietnam, 65, 66, and 68, 69. I am also 90% disabled. But getting back to gas tax, I have a lot of friends or independent distributors that need their vehicles. They go up every day, so they can't pass their cost on to somebody else. They have to hold their costs. So all their money is being absorbed by this lousy gas tax. What it pays almost $1 a gallon every time they go there, 60-some cents for the state, 40, I believe it's 40-some cents for the federal government. How can people survive on this? I mean, I just get to the point I want to scream some days. I'm pushing 80, and I still feel for these other people out there. I have a lot of friends who are independent distributors that deliver bread, and I did this job for 40 years, and when I first started, gas was 60-some cents a gallon. And now you walk up. I looked at the pump today when I was getting gas. For the cheapest stuff was $4.25, and I looked, hey, this is Arco, and it's cheap. I said, what's wrong with here? I call Arco cheap at $4.25. Yeah.
Frank, I want to add something to that really quick here. And God bless you, man, for everything you just told us. But something I really don't understand. We pay about, let's just call it round terms, $1 tax on gasoline, maybe $1.10, about 89 cents to the state, whatever the figure is to the feds. Get it? That is overpriced because our roads suck to begin with. But also something else I like to talk about is, you go to a lot of other states, gas is like $2.50 a gallon. I got friends in.
Well, Kent was telling
us
that
I was
Tennessee.
going to say that. So the reality is that California, not only the gas tax, that makes it so complicated, Frank, to do business here. We have the gas tax and the additional costs. And you're right, man. It gets passed on to us, the average
Well, let's
person.
throw in one other thing. We had the gas tax repeal on a proposition on the ballot a couple years ago. But the Attorney General at the time, Javier Becerra, who does the ballot and title summary that the voters read before they vote, he totally lied. He did in the ballot and title summary. He did not mention once that if you vote for this, you will repeal a gas tax. Instead, he said, if you vote for this, the money won't come in to keep our roads safe. People go to the polls. They say, well, I want the roads safe. And people didn't realize they were actually saying, yes, please tax my gas by at least 60 cents a gallon.
Prop 46 was the Safe Streets, Safe Neighborhoods Act.
Yeah,
right?
and by the way, all that tax
Mike-
money's come in hasn't gone to fix a road
He's
anyway.
talking about the road tax ones, 47 with
Correct.
safe neighborhoods. I want to watch us a time here, so we need Bianca. Frank, because every
And
time we do one of these shows, there's almost too much. Frank, thank you very much. You just went off the air.
It is absolutely too much, and Bianca may have to call in next week, but I just want to say that these folks are taxing us into oblivion.
Yes.
And they're using their strategy. And mind you, I'm not a smoker. I've never had it, but they have taxed cigarettes out of existence.
Yes,
correct?
And then look how they're spending the money that they're getting from our taxes. It's just
I get that. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to apply the same strategy to our cars.
It's everything. It's absolutely ridiculous. I want to give Bianca, she's been on hold about 15
Absolutely. Bianca, God bless. We love Bianca.
We love Bianca. We got, 1 minute. How you doing tonight?
Hey guys, I'm so glad you remembered me earlier on at the top. We're looking like the top three. I couldn't even make the top three names. I turned Labor against Newsom, and that's the things I got. So I was hearing like the book of Genesis being named off. Like Sarah, Mary, that, okay. But I'm so sorry for all the people who lost family members on the show. My heart goes out to you, and people are thinking about you. Not Gavin, but good people like me. I wanted to bring something to light that really is just as important as the Newsom recall that everyone in California should know. Right now, we are doing redistricting of congressional, assembly, and Senate districts in California. And if they're starting public comments, if people want to find out when it is, go to We Draw the Lines. Just Google it. It'll send you to the California site, commission site. I believe the next public comment is the 14th. Don't quote me on that. But you can hear my testimony I gave on www.biancaforsanfrancisco.org, where I talk about how Congressional District 12, Nancy Pelosi's district, needs to be restructured to include 4 people.
We're going to run out of time here, and I don't want to cut you off. You are
no problem.
Thank you for reminding me of that, because when I went there a couple of weeks ago, barely anybody looked at it. Remember, redistricting is one of the important ways that we shape our future for our state senator and state assembly. My friends, we've got about 3 minutes left. Thank you, Bianca. We'll talk to you again soon. You are a great friend.
Thanks, guys.
God bless.
Know that. God bless. Listen,
likewise.
We're just going to have about 30 seconds here as we roll to the end. We've covered a lot of subjects tonight. Orrin, you've got about 30 seconds to give your final blast.
You know what, Mike? You are the spice in everything that lights us up. And next week, Mike may not be able to join us on the French Laundry, but we will have the show. And you know what, Mike? I think we need to do everything we can to make sure you are here, because you are literally the voice of the French Laundry.
I will do what I can. I'm going to be in a remote location, as they used to say, undisclosed location, not actually that undisclosed. It'll be
for an undisclosed purpose.
Yes, for undisclosed purpose. But don't worry, everybody. It's for good political purposes. It's way up north. I will do my best to probably phone in, and we'll figure something out. Eric, real quickly?
I know where you're going to be. It's going to be a great event. Listen, real quick, they used to have something called Voice of America to speak to the people in the Soviet Union. Well, this show is the voice of the people, and it is speaking to the people of California, which is being run like a communist country right now by these people up there, this pompous, arrogant, robotic monster. And so God bless you guys. God bless everybody that signed the petitions, and God bless all the volunteers. The people are going to take back this state. It is coming.
And remember, everything you heard tonight, listen, Gavin Newsom, if you're listening to this show, which you're probably not, but probably somebody is, let me tell you this. You move the election in whatever you want. You do everything within your power to keep your office, but it's about politics, not about the people. You really want to get in touch with the people? Come on our show. Listen to these stories that individuals have about how what you've done has corrupted the state of California, hurt the individuals. We need a change in what is happening. Again, everybody out there, keep us on the air, keep it going. Remember, I don't care what the national press does or doesn't say. We at the French Laundry on this radio show care about the people of California. California, it's time to take your state back. Any party.
It happened under your watch, Gavin.
Stand together. We're all Californians. Friday nights at the French Laundry.
You will not break our spirit.
You will not break our spirit, but you know what, bud? We're going to break you out of office.
Follow all the law. How any violation might kill a grandma. Why you do what you want, even pardon in-laws. Mr. Mayor, how would you prefer your foie gras? Donated? Sir, we saw you at a party.
It wasn't me.
Eating at the French Laundry.
It wasn't me.
You even had the clam chowder.
It wasn't me.
Sir, we got you on camera.
This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee, California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prov 39 LLC, BGB Ranch.
So thank you everybody who joined in, and don't forget to donate to recallgavin2020.com. Have a good night, y'all.